Namaste everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is my great pleasure to host this wonderful celebration and great honor to welcome everyone to our annual Earth Festival and the International Mother Earth Day celebration. In 2009, the UN General Assembly declared 22nd April as International Mother Earth Day. This celebration is one of the various international observances related to environmental issues. This year, the UN plans to have an interactive dialogue to discuss the relationship between harmony with nature and protection of biological diversity. Even before, people used to celebrate long time. I remember when I was in school, my mom was a teacher in science, so we used to have celebration. I'm going to read something from the UN website. There's a message there. Mother Earth is clearly urging a call to action. Nature is suffering, oceans filling with plastic and turning more acidic. Extreme heat, wildfires, and floods have affected millions of people. Even these days, we are still facing COVID 19, a worldwide health pandemic linked to the health of our ecosystem. Climate change, man made changes to nature, as well as crimes that disrupt biodiversity, such as deforestation, land use change, intensified agriculture, and livestock production, or the growing illegal wildlife trade, can accelerate the speed of destruction of the planet. This is the first Mother Earth Day celebrated within the UN decade on ecosystem restoration. Ec- Ecosystems support all life on Earth. The healthier our ecosystems are, the healthier the planet and its people. Restoring our damaged ecosystems will help to end poverty, combat climate change, and prevent mass extinction. But we will only succeed if everyone plays a part. For this International Mother's Day, let us remind ourselves more than ever that we need a shift to a more sustainable economy that works for both people and the planet. Let us promote harmony with nature and the earth. Join the global movement to restore our life. Today, we'll invite our grandmother, Patricia Ann Davis. She is the Native American elder. I met her through Ligia de Castro. She used to have so many interfaith events, cultural events, yoga events, and every year we celebrate Earth Festival. She she's in heaven now, but she gave another gem that is Grandmother Patricia Ann Davis. So she will start with a prayer and a message. She is the NGO representative for Value community to the United Nations. Is working for the indigenous issues. Grandmother Patricia, floor is for you.
Greetings, everyone. And thank you for this precious time for Indigenous knowledge. It's treasure knowledge in our Dene oral tradition. Dene translates to people, conveying human beings given the original instructions for living the loving way as a way of life. Thus, we celebrate International Earth Day today with gratitude for our collective spiritual life journey between Mother Earth and Father Sky. I begin with my tribal customary introduction regarding my maternal and paternal lineage. My communal family and relatives, what is good, beautiful, and true is all I speak. My tribal tradition introduction here. Adonat, a Mississippi band of Choctaw. Nshle tachi ni bashalchin ado chata dene edashche giani edashanala diendene biyajet nshle doni hitle. I'm affirming that we're all equally a precious child of Creator within creation and we are each a child of all nations within the natural order laws of Hojo that govern us. This is a fundamental basis for resource equity, equality, and humane equanimity. Every Indigenous healing ceremony begins with the following affirmations that awaken us to the sacredness of our life from child, youth, adult, parent, elder, grandparent, from sunrise, midday, sunset, midnight, spring, summer, fall, autumn, winter, in the natural order sequencing of laws that support our wellness restoration on the micro and macro level. Healing is learning, and learning is healing. Healing is a correction of the root cause that perpetuates an out of balance condition, as we are all being affected and impacted in the climate and warmongering crisis today. Our humanity, our home, our sanctuary, our habitat, our temple is in peril due to the destruction and pollution of the four sacred elements. Earth is our physical body, water is our emotive element, fire is temperature, and air, of course, is our in-breath, out-breath, in balance and harmony with the external earth, water, fire, and air within the environment of this planet. Listen to the vibrational effect of these Diné ceremonial words as they echo throughout the universe with intention, visualization, and dialogue to manifest alignment with the divine plan for peace in the world and for plenitude to steward our Mother Earth. Kodo Hojo Dole, in our eternal sacred self, in our eternal sacred place in the universe, forever existing in the perfect peace and love of Creator and within creation. Nahasan Hima Jona E Shata Yadilkil Hashje Howan Twa Bashishchina Na Ye Nezana, our Holy Mother Earth, Father Sky, within the universe of all that is us, to see the beauty to love and to be loved and to live in peace within our divine feminine and divine masculine. That's our life task, the healthy teamwork with the protector, provider, the life giver, and nurturer. As holy earth surface people, and Bella Ashlai, five-finger people, humane beings. We are created as humane beings. We can collectively care for ourselves and each other by acknowledging the unifying principles in the natural order that we're calling Hojo, of all-encompassing concept of oneness. From the child, sunrise, spring, white shell, and white people, to the south, youth, midday, summer, turquoise, and red people, to the west and sunset, parent, autumn, abalone, shell, and yellow people, north, midnight, grandparent, winter, jet and obsidian, and the black people, to the center, our fireplace, the hearth of our home, Shabik Eho, in a clockwise manner, from Sa'anagai Big Ehojon, which is the path of our spiritual life journey. Every day and throughout the cycle of our whole life. Thus, our physical body is of the Mother Earth. Listen carefully. Our word for mountain is Zith, and Zithlej is mountain dirt. And more than mountain dirt, Zith is also spiritual strength. It's the word for mountain, for the mountain dirt, which represents and a symbol of our spiritual strength. Thus, our physical body is of the Mother Earth element, and thus we are imbued with spiritual strength to serve in the world by stewarding these four sacred elements. Hojo Nahaskli, Hojo Nahaskli, Hojo Nahaskli, Hojona Haskli, we are restored to this holiness and wholeness as we learn and practice care for our Mother Earth. Ahyeha, and thank you to all of you. My family, my spiritual family, and my relatives. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandma, Mother, for the wonderful spiritual message, especially from the Native American tradition. I was very interested in the Native American education when I was in college as a science student. I used to work with indigenous group. When I came here, I'm lucky. I met so many people from the Native American tribe and the UN. A lot of NGOs are very active in that field. The only thing is, I still think about our bishop. We call her grandmother to accelerate grandmother. We always think about her. She was so active. We used to go to the Central Park and plant trees, small. We do dance. It was so beautiful times. Anyway, very memorable. At least we will continue our work. Thank you for your great support, being part of the value community. And our assemblyman is driving. So within that time, I'll show one of the video we created last year for our interfaith program. This is some of our work in different places. It's a little uh, pride I can show last some decades. I had to thank all the parents, parents and all the teachers and elders, those who support us in different ways. And maybe because of their blessings, I'm still alive and able to help people and part of the global community. Uh, I see our assemblyman is here. Let me see. Gallery. Okay, good.
We're on, Guru.
Yeah, I want to bring your bio. Some people already had it, but still I want to say that one. This is a recorded event. The Honorable Assemblyman, Dr. Nader, a resident of Yonkers for over 60 years, grew up with the 7 siblings on the southwest side of the city, which was ethnically and racially diverse. After working this way through college, he dedicated himself to being a spokesperson for community needs in education and inequitable opportunities for all. The path has guided him to seek and reach success as a teacher, principal, college professor, captain in the New York State Guard militia, and president of the Yonkers Public Schools Board of Education. In addition, Dr. Sage has also served as a trustee for the New York State Board of Elections, where he was on several committees, including the Instructional Affairs Committee and Big Five Cities Board. Nader understands urban education because he has lived and has held several positions within that capacity. He is a true leader who knows how to advocate for educational reform as well as how to address the needs for English language learners and students with special needs. Nader's leadership in community service and as an attorney for 28 years, specializing in personal injury, immigration, criminal, and real estate law has resulted in his participation in numerous civic, hospital, and nonprofit scholarship committees, the Spanish Foundation, and the NAACP, to name a few areas where he has and continues to be a consistent supporter and advocate for education, labor, and human resources. Assemblyman Nader represents the 90th Assembly District, that is in Yonkers, which almost entirely encompasses the city of Yonkers. In this role, he continues to lobby for the redistributing of funds to his city so the school system can build new schools. One of his goals in the New York State Assembly is to fight for changes in the New York State education funding formula, which shortchanges younger students and deprives schools of a fair share of their necessary funding. In the Assembly, he also works toward decreasing taxes for the middle class while enhancing the job market and economy in New York State. Here, I like to welcome our Assemblyman, Nader Sage.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be with all these illustrious guests that represent a cross section of our society that are extremely responsible for an enormous amount of positive energy when it comes to preserving and protecting our earth and protecting peaceful coexistence around the world. And for me, as a New York State Assemblyman, today is very special for me. It's special because we are focusing on a very important topic, a very important mission that here in the city of Yonkers, New York State, the nation, and the entire world, the global community, is focusing on celebrating our earth. Mother Nature, the world we live in, has been bombarded for many centuries and many years because of pollution, because inconsideration for the well-being of Mother Earth. And as a legislator, today is special for me because not only do we celebrate Earth, but we celebrate an annual celebration that has taken place for 52 years. And for me, over the last couple of years, having developed an extreme friendship and a very important collaboration with Guru Dileepji, a dear leader and a friend, but a leader in the international community for peaceful coexistence, for the celebration of World Yoga, for the celebration of Earth Day. And we've had the pleasure on the New York State legislative end to take some very important and drastic efforts to celebrate and recognize coexistence and recognize cultural awareness and respect diversity all over the world. And more important, to focus on what we can do from the legislative, governmental end to protect our world. And I'm proud as a New York State Assemblyman and as a member of the New York legislative body to really take the lead the last 10 years. The last decade, the amount of legislative initiatives, policy changes, initiatives that were geared to clean up our act when it comes to the climate, with climate control legislation, with legislation dealing with the environment, with making sure that our waterways are clean, with making sure that air pollution was put down, emission from fossil fuels and other very dangerous pollutants and toxins and components were put aside and restricted and regulated. And we took a major initiative with the plastic ban. People underestimated how urgent and how detrimental plastic was to the environment, to the waterways, where reports of huge islands of plastic in our oceans and waterways, pollution that developed toxins and chemicals that were harmful for us, and the impact on the ozone level layers of our world that protect us from rays and radiation and so forth. And these are the type of initiatives. So today I wanted to join in marking this 52nd Earth Day celebration. And this is truly an opportunity for us to take a moment to honor the planet we live in and reaffirm our commitment to preserving our environment for years to come. Today, I spoke earlier to many high school students, a very special event honoring the future leaders, academic leaders of all the high schools. And we spoke to them about the commitment they have as the young generation who would lead our world, and that the preservation of our earth and the commitment they need to make growing up to represent us and reach out and advocate as they have been to legislators like myself and leaders like Guru, the importance of us as a society, as a nation, as a world, taking a proactive role to make sure we make changes. And some of the changes recently enacted through the New York State Assembly and the Senate and many of the legislative pieces signed by Governor Kathy Hochul involve, for example, commitments to make sure that we revert to electrical cars, for example. We make sure that all buses that we make these days and large vehicles that historically would put out a tremendous amount of chemical pollutants in the air, that they are restricted, that we begin the transformation to electrical vehicles, that we begin the transformation to protect our waterways, to make sure that we continue to ban toxic chemicals that impact us in many different ways, our health, our well-being, our opportunity to live a clean and productive life. And as the threat of climate change has become more prevalent with each passing year, it's more important than ever to recognize Earth Day and to do all we can to create a more sustainable future. Conserving our environment is critical, not only for future generations, but for our families today. In recent years, we passed significant legislation to combat climate change, including the historic Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. This year's state budget makes critical investments in environmental conservation with the Restore Mother Nature Environment Bond Act, which we voted here in New York this year, protecting farmlands and funding for clean water infrastructure and the State Environmental Protection Fund. So in honor of Earth Day this year, we build on that work with legislation that sets zero emission goals for the transportation industry, including that all in-state sales of cars and trucks be zero emission by the year 2035. These are major initiatives, and this is what we as legislators do. But it takes more than legislation. What drives us as legislators to be proactive and to recognize the urgency and to move in the right direction is the work each and every one of you do day to day and year to year. And although this is the 52nd anniversary, I can tell you that the last 50 years, due to the work of these efforts and these celebrations and this work of dedicated commitment advocates, have really led the biggest change in our world, in protecting our world. And we do this not only, as I said, for us today and our families, our health and safety, but we do it for the generations to come, because it's really our responsibility to begin the process, and we have, but to continue to make sure that we don't regress or we don't take movement backward. And so today, the 22nd of April, 2022, we celebrate 52 years, and we have a tremendous program, and very special thanks to the guru, who I've had the pleasure not only of knowing, but witnessing firsthand his tremendous commitment. And he's someone that is very task-oriented, someone that really becomes the rally cry on crucial initiatives. And we spoke recently, for example, about the urgency of yoga. And as an educator myself, I've learned a lot from the guru as far as the importance of bringing yoga into sports, into health well-being, into wellness in our school system, and to begin the process of making sure that we address obesity in our young generation and begin to address emotional trauma that impacts young people, that leads them to drug addiction and suicide and bullying and many other, unnecessary elements of disasters in many cases. And therefore, when we talk about nature, we talk about us as human beings, we talk about our world, we see the good and the evil, the light over darkness, and we begin to recognize each and every one of us has a responsibility to celebrate light over darkness. And it comes in many, many different forms. And today is a very important form, and that is the preservation and the safeguard of Mother Earth. So as an advocate of that, as someone who is committed to the cause, I'm very honored and grateful to be part of this very worthy and meaningful event and program. And I hope that each and every one of us continue to do what we do in the different roles we play, whether many of us are educators or environmental advocates or business people or just plain citizens that are concerned and that are taking an active role to have a positive impact. And some of us may say, well, what can I do? And I can tell you as an educator, as a legislator, sometimes it takes a spark, an opinion, a recommendation, a statement, an advocacy to bring about positive change. So Guru, thank you very much. I'm always honored and privileged to be part of your tireless efforts. So I congratulate you and each member of this panel and everyone listening, and wish Mother Earth. We call this almost like a birthday celebration. So let this birthday yearly celebration continue, and may it be continuously successful so that we can look back and say, wow, our hard work and commitment paid off for our generation and generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Assemblyman, for all of your support. I know you already did the resolution for the environmental issues. You moved for the interfaith, and you're going to do for the yoga for next month and more. And here I put two people, wonderful people on the screen so you can meet them. That is Grandmother Patricia and Davis from the indigenous community. She's a Native American elder. And Dr. Kusumita Paterson is one of the senior NGO representative and the spiritual leader at the UN. She is part of the Interfaith Center of New York and the Parliament of World Religions, and disciple of Sri Chinmoy. He worked with Swami Bua. So I connect with her because of that. So I definitely recommend their names for the citation if we get a chance.
My pleasure, most deserving, and it's my honor and privilege, because as the Guru stated, we're very proud of the work you do and the leadership you display. And as a member of the Assembly, the Guru knows I appreciate and love to commend and extend, our recognition from the state level for your hard work and your dedication. So I'm going to work with the Guru to make sure that one day, if you're able to come to Yonkers, we'd love to make an in-person presentation, but we'll make sure that we get these presentation put forth and presented to a most worthy cause, and to each and every one of you for your hard work. So I'm very glad to be introduced to you and to have the Guru explain to me and express who's deserving of such recognition. And you two, from your role and your responsibility, are really integral aspects of this success. So God bless you and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Honorable Assemblyman, for your great support. And I know you have a busy schedule, even though you are spending time with us.
My pleasure.
I want to say Damien did a wonderful job.
Yeah, very good. Terrific.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Enjoy. Have a great.
Thank you. So now I like to introduce our keynote speaker today. That is Dr. Kusumita Paterson. She is a professor emerita of religious studies at St. Francis College, a trustee of the Parliament of the World Religions, and chair of the Interfaith Center of New York. She is also a member of the Parliament Climate Action Task Force and of the Climate Working Group of the CRNGOs at the United Nations. She is on the advisory boards of the Center for Earth Ethics, the Center for Ecumenical and Interreligious Engagement at Seattle University, and the Yale Forum on Religion and Ecology. She is co-author of Faith for Earth, a call for action, UN Environmental Program and Parliament of the World Religions in 2020, and co-author of Global Ethics in Practice, Historical Backgrounds, Current Issues and Future Prospects. In 2016, she has compiled and edited librettos for 2 works by Philip Glass, Symphony No. 5, Bardo, Requiem, and Nirmana Kaya, and The Passion of Ramakrishna. First one is 1999, the second one is 2006. Kusumita has been a student of Sri Chinmoy since 1971 and is the author of the Philosophy of Sri Chinmoy, Love and Transformation in 2021. Here we warmly welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Kusmita Patricia. Floor is for you.
Thank you so much, Guru Dileepji, and for inviting me today. And it's a joy to be among friends, especially on Earth Day. And I'm speaking to you from the borough of Queens in New York City, the traditional ancestral lands of the Lenape people. I want to begin with words of a great mentor of mine, Thomas Berry. Thomas Berry is one of the great prophets of our time. He calls us to what he describes as the great work of this era, the transformation of the human species, now alienated from the very universe that sustains us, to forgers of a new, mutually enhancing partnership with the earth, in the words of philosopher Joseph Prabhu in his tribute to Thomas when he passed away in 2009. Thomas writes that my own understanding of the great work began when I was quite young. At the time, I was some 11 years old. On an afternoon in late May, he wandered down an incline near the house his family was building in the southern town where he grew up. Across the creek, at the bottom of the slope, was a meadow covered with white lilies rising above the thick grass. He says, it was not only the lilies, it was the singing of the crickets and the woodlands in the distance and the clouds in the clear sky. As the years pass, this moment returns to me. And whenever I think about my basic life attitude and the whole trend of my mind, and the causes to which I have given my efforts, I seem to come back to this moment and the impact it has had on my feeling for what is real and worthwhile in life. This early experience, it seems, has become normative for me throughout the entire range of my thinking. He goes on, whatever preserves and enhances this meadow in the natural cycles of its transformation is good. Whatever opposes this meadow or negates it is not good. My life orientation is that simple. It is also that pervasive. It applies in economics and political orientation, as well as in education and religion. These evolving biosystems deserve the opportunity to be themselves and express their own inner qualities. Notice he says biosystems have inner qualities. As in economics, so in jurisprudence and law and political affairs, what is good recognizes the rights of this meadow and the creek and the woodlands beyond to exist and flourish. In his 10 principles of earth jurisprudence, which has become widely influential and one basis of the implementation of the rights of nature, Thomas Berry states, the universe is a communion of subjects, not a collection of objects. And this is one of his most famous sayings, which is he often repeated. As subjects, conscious beings, the component members of the universe are capable of having rights. The natural world on the planet Earth, he says, gets its rights from the same source that humans get their rights, from the universe that brought them into being, and from the ultimate reality that brought the universe into being. And since it has no further context of existence in the phenomenal order, that means the order we see, the universe is self-referential in its being and it's self-normative in its activities. In other words, its existence is complete in itself, in its own reality, and its being is of value in and of itself. So let me add of sacred value, as grandmother Patricia was saying, all being, all life is sacred in its beauty, creativity, and mystery, and therefore it provides its own laws. Concerning rights, every component of the Earth community has 3 rights: the right to be, the right to habitat, and the right to fulfill its role in the ever-renewing process of the Earth community. In sum, rights arise from the very existence of any entity, as all are conscious subjects deserving of the opportunity to flourish. And as I'm sure many of you know, the movement for rights of nature now includes rivers, mountains, and even I've seen a declaration of the rights of the moon as a sovereign conscious subject. Rights arise from the very existence of any entity, and all subjects are deserving of the right to flourish. In language more familiar in human rights, every being, human or more than human, other than human, has its dignity. It's worthy of respect. Valuable in itself, every being in the universe has dignity and is worthy of protection, respect, and care. Now, the feeling for what is real and worthwhile in life, as Thomas says, is love. As Jesus said, where your treasure is, what you value, there your heart will be also. Our hearts choose what is real and worthwhile for us. In true knowledge of the intrinsic worth of what we love as good in and of itself. The love commandment in the Bible is to love God, the source of existence, with all our hearts, to love our neighbors as ourselves. And as we aspire to love ourselves and our fellow humans, we should also love as our neighbors all beings on earth and in the universe. And earth is the common home for them as it is for us. And so when we love our relations, our family in the earth community, we are loving truly in awareness of the world's worth and reality. And we love those who share this community of life. And indeed, they give us our very life itself. We don't have life, spiritual life or biological life, apart from other beings on this earth. God, to use theistic language, if you will, has created this world as a world of interdependence, and not some other kind of world. And God, who is, in the words of Pope Francis, the living center of the universe, the overflowing core of love and inexhaustible life, has loved the world as creator and sustainer of life in its infinitely manifold uniqueness, and not human life alone. As my own spiritual teacher, Sri Chinmoy, says, God is a self-giving infinity, and God loves each and every creation of his, and needs each and every creation of his, from the highest to the lowest. And if we are made in God's image, or we are all in the Buddha nature, or have the Atman or soul as our true self, the love of the world is written in our hearts. Saint Isaac the Syrian says, "What is a merciful heart? It is a heart on fire for the whole of creation, for humanity, for the birds, for the animals, for the plants, for all that exists. It is a boundless heart for all beings, the loving kindness and compassion of the Bodhisattva." But love is made up of actions. If we do not act for the good of what we love, we do not love. Love for the whole community of life needs to be manifested as active concern and care for our common home through specific and concrete actions. What then must we do? And in what follows, I now draw on a statement that was just written by the Climate Action Task Force of the world's religions. We are the first generation of humans to have the knowledge, technology, and wealth to create societies that are sustainable and just. With that opportunity comes responsibility. To realize our opportunity, we must choose responsibility and not just say we choose it, but to commit to developing capacity at every level to understanding the material, physical, and moral consequences of the choices we make. And we so much appreciate what the Assemblyman said about education. We must commit to gaining knowledge and understanding. And in these times, our lives will not be judged by our intentions, but by the consequences of our actions. While the actions of individuals continue to impact Earth's climate, that's each of us, it is now more clear than ever that it is our collective behavior that must also change. No national government has yet done enough to reduce cumulative emissions of greenhouse gases. Taken together, the action commitments of the governments of the whole world taken together, even if fully implemented, we're referring to the Paris Agreement, still fall short of changing the trajectory of our planet towards widespread disaster and extensive human misery. And only governments are big enough and powerful enough to do what is ultimately necessary. Each of us must do what we can, but we must also hold our governments accountable and organize, which is the way to influence a government. As well, the engagement of the spiritual communities of the world is indispensable in every aspect of this challenge, and we will not do what is in our hearts if we do not listen to what is in our hearts and our love for the whole Earth community. Our faiths and spiritual paths call us to be warriors for the sustainability and well-being of our world. The challenge is enormous, but we cannot allow its enormity to erode, weaken our commitment and our will to act. No one person can do all that must be done, but everyone can do something. And one individual is not responsible for what one cannot do truly alone, but all of us are responsible for what we can do together. Accomplishing what is necessary starts with each of us doing what we can. As diverse as our cultures and spiritual traditions may be, it is certain that we will share the future. Our faiths and spiritual paths can help us recognize our interdependence, see beyond just science and knowledge to also see meaning and wisdom, ultimate values, and to encourage, inspire us to mutually reinforcing action. There is a fearsome urgency to this challenge, but our spirituality gives us the strength to rise to this challenge and continue. And our actions each day write the future across the face of the planet every day. So just as we have chosen the world in which we live today, we can choose a better world for the future. The world's religions and spiritual paths, our shared ethics, and our own spiritual experience are essential for making these choices wisely. So let us go forward together with hope and determination and in love for all life and all beings in the universe. As my spiritual teacher, Sri Chinmoy, has said, love is oneness. If we establish oneness, we give according to our ultimate capacity. Thank you.
You, Dr. Kusmitaji, you end up with the love. That is the ultimate truth. Swami Buho used to say, begin the day with love, spend the day with love, fill the day with love, end the day with love. That's the way to go. I had to appreciate all the work you are doing for the environmental issues, especially in the parliament and the interfaith center and those personality and nature work supposed to go together. That's the way all the great yogis did in India. So I appreciate all of your support and being with us as a guest speaker and blessing us. I like to invite Dr. Padmini Murthy and Reverend Dion Park to the screen. And Padmini Murthy is doing a poem she just wrote today for us in the morning. She will do the poem. Then Reverend Doyen will go. Yes, Padmini Murthy.
Thank you so much, Dileepji. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, honored guest speakers. So I just wrote this poem in the morning, and I just wanted to read it. And thank you, Dileepji, for asking me to do so. The title of my poem is Earth's Lament. Why are you so hostile and full of venom and vile? You have filled me with waste. In your haste, I have become impure, diseased without a cure, too much pollution without many a solution, infected with human greed by your every deed. I am crying because I am dying. Please hear my voice and make the right choice to save the earth and give me rebirth. Thank you.
Great. When I saw that on Facebook, immediately I thought it's perfect.
Thank you so much. And on the Facebook, it has the painting also by Dr. B.K.S. Verma, who depicted Earth as a woman. So thank you so much, Dileepji. And, thank you for everybody's efforts in saving the Earth, because it's, well, let's hope it's not too late. Thank you so much, Dileepji.
Thank you. Where is Reverend Doyen?
Okay, hello. Is that good?
I cannot see video.
Oops, sorry. Okay, right?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Perfect.
Sure. Greetings of peace to you all. I'm joining you from New York City here on a bright Earth Day morning. So thank you, Group Dileepji, and all who've been working hard behind the scenes for this inspiring gathering.
I want to
And also,
mention about you that is Reverend Doyen Park is an NGO representative of the World Buddhism to the United Nations. She was a last secretary before me at the Committee of Religious NGOs at the UN. And currently she's a Buddhist chaplain at the NYU Global Spiritual Life, the religious life advisor at Columbia University, and representative at the One Buddhism at the UN, and a minister. Yes, proceed.
okay, again, greetings of peace and justice to you all. Again, thank you, Guru Dileepji. And also my gratitude goes to all the speakers, not just for your words of wisdom, but also for your work you've been doing in creating more conscious and sustainable actions for the earth and for all of us. So from the Buddhist understanding, everything is part of a web of interconnection, and it's depending on limitless causes and conditions undergoing a continual process of transformation. In other words, nothing exists as independent, permanent, or fixed, which is known as the interconnectedness of all. So all the Buddhist teachings are based on and lead us to a realization of this interdependent nature of reality. Simply, this means that, as all the speakers previously mentioned, that the humans depend on the nature and the nature depends on humans. So, harming one part of this whole is the same as harming all of it. So with this understanding and insight, I would like to share a short text from the scriptures of Won Buddhism, which reminds us how we are all indebted to heaven and earth. And I would like to offer a short Buddhist prayer with Korean chanting at the end. Here I would like to share this. Okay, let's see. This is from, maybe you can take it as just a moment of reflection. So the gist of indebtedness to heaven and earth. Due to the air in the sky, we are able to inhaling and exhaling. Due to the support of the ground, we are able to live by having our bodies depend on it. Due to the radiance of the sun and moon, we come to distinguish and know the myriad phenomena in the universe. Due to the beneficence of wind, clouds, rain, and dew, we come to live off the products created by their nurturing of the myriad things. As heaven and earth neither rise nor cease, the myriad things come to attain endless life in accordance with that way. So the prayer goes, Dharmakaya Buddha, the fourfold grace. May the grace of heaven and earth watch over us. May the grace of parents nurture us. May the grace of fellow beings embrace us. May the grace of Dharma cultivate us. We have gathered here with our hearts enjoined to renew our commitment to honor and protect the earth with sustainable and collective actions. May we transform our foolish mind into a mind that is wise. May we transform our selfish and evil mind into one that is loving and compassionate. May we transform our deceitful and deluded mind into one that is righteous and authentic. May we transform our jealous and resentful mind into one that is loving and grateful. May we transform our greedy and covetous mind into one that has integrity and impartiality. And may we transform our hostile and malevolent mind into that one that is harmonious and protective. May we all become more mindful and responsible of our individual and collective actions and what impacts they bring to our lives and on the natural environment. May we all be the one who brings peace and justice for the earth and for all. And the chant I want to offer here is the English translation goes, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth permeates my being. My spirit touches all things as my mind dwells. Heaven, earth, and I become one. I am one with the way of heaven and earth. 천지용기야 심정 만사여야 신토 천지여와 동일체하여 천지농심정 천지용기야 심정 만사여야 신토 천지여와 동일체하여 천지농심정 천지연기야 심정 만사여야 신통 천지여와 동일체하여 천지 심정. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Doyen. That was a beautiful write-up from the one Buddhist. I love it. You know, the great masters always think about everyone, not only their culture or a country, the people. Thank you for joining and blessing us with your wonderful prayer. Now I like to invite our angel, Miss Michelle Delafay, who's going to bless us with her wonderful song. See what she has today for us. Then we'll have the panel discussion. Yes, Michelle. She's an NGO representative for us to the United Nations, actress, singer, a lot about her. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Guruji. Think on these things. The joy of walking in nature on our earth. Its beauty, which includes the forest, the mountains, the seas, and the sky. The life of all creatures, large and small, the sounds of the rivers, the birds, the wind through the trees, the glorious sense of clean air, flowers, and freshwater streams, the variations of colors. These are the gifts of Creator. The Creator has given to us, and it has an eternal song which makes me sing with all of earth's glory. The hills are alive with the sound of music, with songs they have sung for 1,000 years. The hills fill my heart with the sound of music. My heart wants to sing every song it hears. My heart wants to beat like the wings of the birds that rise from the lakes to the trees. My heart wants to sigh like a chime that flies from the church on a breeze, to laugh like a brook when it trips and falls over stones on its way, to sing through the night like a lark that is learning to pray. I go to the hills when my heart is lonely. I know I will hear what I've heard before. My heart will be blessed with the sound of music, and I'll sing once more.
Wow, that is a new song.
Yes, it's a beautiful song about the sound of music that nature creates and also brings about in your soul as you worship all of the divine gifts the Creator has given us. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for joining us. I know you have a few more songs before finishing the celebration. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
And the first part of the event is over. Now we are going to have panel discussion group. We have beautiful speakers, Sri Hiro Sakurai, Monica, Daniel, Martha, Chip Cobbins, and Julia from our NGO group. So we'll start with Hiro Sakurai, is the chair of the Committee of Religious NGOs and the NGO representative of the Soka Gakkai International to the United Nations, and he's part of the Global Cultural Movement for Cultural Peace with the Ambassador Chowdhury. I know him a long time. Recently, we became close friends because of the committee of CRNGOs. Hiro, flourish for it.
Thank you, Guruji, and my apologies for joining late. I just dashed in from another meeting virtually. So it's great to see many familiar and friendly faces. And as we observe the Earth Day and the International Mother Earth Day, the COVID-19 is still affecting our lives and societies. And we are seeing increasingly how climate change is impacting us in various ways. So the Earth Day today is far from a time of celebration, rather it's a time for action, it's time for solidarity. So I want to thank Guruji and the organizers for bringing us all together today to renew a determination for concerted action and solidarity. People, faith, and faith communities are so vital in this regard. Among various roles that faith communities can play, building the strong social foundations for eliminating misery is critically important. so that even when confronted with the most intense threat or challenge, we never leave behind those who are most vulnerable and are struggling in the depths of adversity. To observe the Earth Day and uplift our spirit, I would like to share some quotes from the Earth Charter, which, adopted in 2000, is an ethical foundation for actions to build a more just, sustainable, and peaceful global society in the 21st century. It articulates a mindset of global interdependence and shared responsibility. It offers a vision of hope and a call to action. So it reads, we stand at a critical moment in Earth history, a time when humanity must choose its future. To move forward, we must recognize that in the midst of a magnificent diversity of cultures and life forms, we are one human family and one Earth community with a common destiny. Earth, our home, is alive with a unique community of life. The global environment, with its finite resources, is a common concern of all peoples. The protection of Earth's vitality, diversity, and beauty is a sacred trust. Communities are being undermined. The benefits of development are not shared equitably, and the gap between rich and poor is widening. Injustice, poverty, ignorance, and violent conflict are widespread and a cause of great suffering. The choice is ours. Form a global partnership to care for Earth and one another, or risk the destruction of ourselves and the diversity of life. Fundamental changes are needed in our values, institutions, and ways of living. We must realize that when basic needs have been met, human development is primarily about being more, not having more. We have the knowledge and technology to provide for all, and to reduce our impacts on the environment. The emergence of a global civil society is creating new opportunities to build a democratic and humane world. Our environmental, economic, political, social, and spiritual challenges are interconnected, and together we can forge inclusive solutions. Let ours be a time remembered for the awakening of a new reverence for life, the firm resolve to achieve sustainability, the quickening of the struggle for injustice and peace, and the joyful celebration of life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hero, for your wonderful presentation. We'll make a comment after the everybody's presentation. We'll have Q&A. I know Monica Villiard is on the way. She's driving, so she will join later. I see who is next. That is Daniel Perel. Is he here or that from the Baha'i group? I didn't see Daniel Perel. Then I'll go to Reverend Martha Gallagher.
Hello, dear Guru. Good morning from Bolivia.
We had to thank you. You have to wait. We had to finish people from the UN. Reverend Martha Gallagher, she is an NGO representative of the United Religions Initiative to the United Nations and the advisor for Value Community. Martha Gallagher, are you there?
Yes, Georgie, I'm here.
I'm not seeing your video. That's okay, got it. Thank you.
Shall I begin?
Yes, please.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for bringing me to this wonderful celebration, this event. I thank all the speakers, and it's interesting, Hiro, that I should follow you because I was taking my remarks from the Earth Charter as well. So what I will do, if we remember all that Hiro said about this Earth Charter, which grew up after the Rio conference in '92 and was written by 10,000 people. I wanted to make 2 points today. One is developing something that Dr. Kuzumiti touched on, which is the love for life in the planet does include also our economic processes. And that the second point I wanted to establish is this notion of finding our group that demonstrates this community of trust, which is what we see in the environment. The laws of nature are all interdependent, interrelated, rely upon one another. And the miracle of that is to see how nature has provided a balance that we have the capacity now to truly appreciate and comprehend. Today, this is the first time that we are living in a global economy, and it has contributed to good and bad. The good part is that we're on the most fundamental level of human living, developing the capacity to be interactive. The part that has eluded us in relation to the economy is that we have not included nature. We have not recognized that true economy is not dollars and cents. True economy is not for profit. Profit is an outcome of balance, of harmony. Profit cannot be an end in itself. So I wish to speak to you to imagine a different kind of economy that does exist in part. And that is not an economy of money, but an economy of right relationship.
Martha, 1 minute.
So it's not a new thought. Thomas Berry said it way before we had a global economy. But I think sometimes religious spiritual people do not include their economic well-being and economic behavior with the care of the earth. Certainly the indigenous people did, because the indigenous people's economies was based on sharing. It was based on interdependence, and that it's been the limitations of the current Western economy that we're now being called to correct. So I would just like to make the point that just as we have the technology to restore the environment to its rightful place, we also have the skill and the practical intelligence to recreate, reconstitute, and reform the economy that will actually fulfill and implement the Sustainable Development Goals. How? They will do it not so much by focusing on the monetary expense of them, but by recognizing that they have the capacity, when one awakens to this collective soul consciousness that's so available to us in our daily experience in Earth itself, to look at our own ethical behavior in relation to the economy. A group that was also built around Thomas Berry's principles was called the Earth Values Caucus that came to the United Nations in 2001. And it developed this understanding that we can build the pillars for peace that include economics by recognizing a new economy is built upon two ethical principles. One we call the law of proportionality, and the other we call the principle of precautionary consequences. Everything that we do is economic because economy is built upon energy. And so when we think about proportionality, we want to think about scale. Imagine if the 1/2 of the 1% put their wealth that they had toward the well-being of all humans. Imagine how different this world would be. Imagine bringing up children with this notion that their behavior really matters, not in terms of getting a good grade or pleasing the teacher, but in teaching them, as Sri Chinmoy does, that every small action that we take vibrates and has an impact on the larger world. And that's the basis of why children matter. So I would thank you for giving me time to speak, and I would ask that all of us, as the State Assembly person has to do in terms of his floating a new bond that pays attention to the environment, look more carefully at our understanding of economics and understanding the creative dynamic to repair and show love for our precious Mother Earth. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Reverend Martha. I love the point. Money is not everything. I always tell people we may have dollar or euro, even dinar from Middle East. We can have millions in our pocket, but when natural calamity is happening, it won't help at all. When we behave properly, that life is different. That's a very important point you brought about the economy. I know so many indigenous people are suffering because of the new type of system around the globe. We restructure for our greediness, but we need care about, we forget or avoid, or we just close our eyes, we don't know. Yeah, and we ignore other people. Let us see. Thank you, Martha, for a wonderful presentation. I like to invite next speaker. I see Chip Cummins. Are you here? Okay. Then I'll call BK Julia Grendon Welch. She's the Vice President of the CRNGOs and the CSVGC and NGO representative of the Brahma Kumaris to the United Nations. Brahma Kumaris, I have a long time relationship with that organization, more than 35 years. And Julia is in our committee. I'm so happy that she's joining with us. Julia's floor is for you.
Thank you, Guruji, and how lovely to be with everyone this morning. I very much enjoyed all the different presentations that have brought such important points to us all so that we remember and honor today our beautiful planet Earth. So I'm here today to share a few points and to share a little bit about the Brahma Kumaris who I represent at the UN. Since the very beginning of our affiliation to the United Nations, one of the main focuses of the Brahma Kumaris has been the environment. as we understand the drama of life to be the interaction between the soul, God, and nature. For there to be a world of plenty, peace, and happiness, human souls need to be in harmony with nature. The inner world and the outer worlds are parts of the same wheel of life. For the outer state of the world to be transformed, the inner state of the world must first be transformed. If peace is to be attained, we must start with inner peace. If world stability is needed, we must start by cultivating that inner stability. If corruption is to be eliminated, we must eradicate corruption from our minds and souls, returning to our original nature of peace and non-violence. Presently, our earth, our home, is being ravaged by the actions of human souls. Our actions, choices, and behaviors are continuing to result in a world that is environmentally strained and exhausted. At the core of our global politics and economy is the attitude that we, human beings, sit at the very center of existence, and all things and beings are peripheral to us. We see nature as something out there that we can dip in or out of at our pleasure. Our limited thinking causes us to see a fragmented world. For example, to see the earth as a storehouse of resources to be mined for the world consumers. We forget that we are also nature, biodiverse, multi-complex organisms that absolutely rely on the diverse nature of our own bodies and the biodiversity of the ecosystems we live amongst. What can we do to intervene in this vicious cycle of increasing fragmentation and blindness? What will allow us to dismantle the artificial boundaries we have constructed in our minds and in the world, to see the unified system of which we are all part? How can we invest in the well-being of ourselves and our planet? The inner world of thought and the outer world of the physical phenomena are actually not separate worlds or systems. They are part of the same causal continuum. Our outer physical phenomena begin as inside subtle phenomena, impressions, thoughts, and feelings. In this causal continuum, our awareness naturally produces a certain kind of attitude. Our thoughts and feelings emerge naturally from the attitude we hold. Our attitude also causes us to see things in a certain way. Because we see things in a certain way, we take a certain kind of action, in turn, creating a certain kind of world. So, if we want to change the world we are continually recreating, we need to go upstream of the laws and the treaties and policies designed to police actions, because with those actions, we are working at the end of the causal continuum. We need to consider how we can work at the beginning of the continuum to change awareness and subsequently actions. For example, in terms of climate change, when we ask ourselves how to reduce or lessen the effects of human-induced rise in temperature due to the use of fossil fuels, we need to look at the awareness and the attitude we hold, which is governing our behaviors, the behaviors that are leading to this crisis. To really invest in our planet, we need real transformation, and not just a change on surface appearances. If deep transformation in the subtle inner form, or it is rather deep transformation on the subtle inner form that change the outer material form. While change may happen on the surface, better treaties, greater financial investment and so on, real transformation happens on the inside with deeper understanding amongst opposing parties, for example, and generosity of spirit. To invest in our planet is to love her, to care for her and nurture her. To do this, we need to love, care and nurture our minds and hearts, and love, care and nurture each other. With the awareness that we truly are part of the same living system, dependent on each other to flourish, we need to support this emergent world, beginning with a shift in awareness. One of the ways the Brahmakumaris are doing this is experimenting with different methods of heightening inner awareness, encouraging enlightened conscience, and seeing the world as a whole system rather than as separate silos. There's still much to do in these domains of silence and stillness to reset the agenda for the future we want. We also have a number of ongoing experiments that work in aligning awareness with action, such as yogic farming, whereby farmers harness the power of concentrated positive thought with organic farming techniques, which bring real social, economic, and environmental change to their communities. Large solar energy installations drawing different agencies together in a collective vision of change, providing green jobs and utilizing the energy of the sun on a massive scale. A 20-year initiative for global meditation on world peace each month, harnessing collective positive thought and goodwill as an expanding population. We embrace a vegetarian diet and simple lifestyle and a commitment to service. This kind of subtle alignment of thought and awareness, expressed as mindful action, is deeply practical, grounded as it is in universal principles that are constantly at work in nature. In engaging with the global stakeholder community around sustainable development and human well-being, and experimenting with these premises about elevated thought and aligning action can be a meaningful investment in our planet and a response to our times. Om Shanti, and thank you very much.
Om Shanti. You brought the best point, simple, living, high thinking. Nothing else.
Okay, it took a lot to say that then. Thank you, Guruji.
I remember in mid-80s when we put the interfaith and yoga together. And I had really hard time with the Christian community, they don't want to support it. But when I talked to Brahmakumaris, immediately they came. Then I bring some books to sell. That is for the promotion of total literacy campaign. That's the first campaign in the world happened in my city. We got the 100% literacy within 3 years, and that project became the state level. And within 5 years, we got 100%, then became as a national project. So this is where we start with the small things. When we all collaborate, it will grow very well. But I will say, we need really people's loving politicians, those who really want to serve the community, then things will change. Otherwise, nothing will change. That's why I brought our Assemblyman today. He's doing tremendous work for the community. I know him last 12 years. He's moving resolution for the yoga, interfaith, and the environmental things. We need people like him. Then if New York State make a plan in the America will change within few years. Thank you, Julia, for joining. I'll bring Daniel. He's back. Let me see. Then we'll have the Q&A. Where is my brother Daniel? Can you on your video? Oh, great. Perfect. So Daniel, well, I know him long time. He's a very active person at the UN. He serve in different committees, is an NGO representative of the Baha'i International Community at the UN, and part of the CRNGO Environmental Committee. And I know you all guys, all of you are doing a wonderful work. I come once in a while and pop my head and leave because I had to go to other events. But don't think I don't have interest in the environmental issues. I'm totally with you. So Daniel, floor is for you.
Thank you so much, Guruji. It's really a delight to be with you all. My apologies that I was waylaid a little bit. There are so many wonderful activities taking place on this Earth Day, including the General Assembly is having a full day session on it. I think it's really commendable and exciting to see how the world is able to, at least in rhetoric, come together around such a profound and important issue. And perhaps this will be the issue that brings us all together, finally, to recognize our inherent oneness as a species on this shared planet. The natural world in all its wonder and majesty, it really offers a profound insight into the essence of interdependence. From the biosphere as a whole to the smallest microorganism, it demonstrates how dependent any one life form is on numerous others, and how imbalances in one system reverberate across an interconnected whole. And intimately embedded in this greater system and deeply reliant upon it, humanity faces a paradox growing more consequential by the day. On the one hand, the human race has never held more power to shape the physical world on planetary scales, a development some have termed the Anthropocene, and it's a testament to our collective ingenuity and creativity, as well as the boundless potential before us. But on the other hand, that very power, when untempered by thoughtful consideration and directed by priorities heedless of present and future common good, this gives rise to consequences not only worldwide in scope, but potentially irreversible, as we hear from repeated reports of the United Nations. As the grave effects of surpassing planetary limits become increasingly apparent, from climate change to biodiversity loss to environmental degradation and pollution, humanity is being compelled to develop more mature, collaborative, and constructive relationships between its peoples and with the natural environment. Now, from a perspective wide enough to encompass the planet in its entirety, humanity can be seen in no other light than as one people living in one global homeland. Consciousness of this oneness, expressed through relationships of justice, constitutes the only foundation on which sustainable societies can be raised. Every people in its own way celebrates the ever-abundant beauty and grandeur of nature. The traditions of every culture pay homage to that priceless heritage that sustains not only the physical needs of bodies, but also the transcendent qualities of the spirit. The task of building a sustainable and flourishing world holds the promise of providing a point of unity, not only in shared endeavor, but in joyful celebration as well. Now, to acknowledge humanity's oneness, it's not to suppress the variations of expression, culture, or social organization. This principle of unity contains within it the essential concept of diversity. Indeed, this is what distinguishes it from uniformity. In the natural world, systems flourish through the interaction of highly diversified elements. Differences between various components can enhance the functioning of the whole and strengthen the resilience of the overall system. In human affairs, diversity of thought, background, and approach are similarly critical. It's through the interaction of diverse perspectives and experiences that higher degrees of truth can be found and then insight gained and implemented. Otherwise, an overabundance of similar views and opinions, like excessive dependence on a single natural resource, leaves the system exposed to dangers and vulnerable to breakdown. So the contributions of ever more populations, well coordinated and integrated, will be required to rebalance humanity's relationship with the natural world. Presumptions of any one group's superiority over another, asserted along lines of nationality or race, or wealth, or any characteristic you can think of, these cannot but erode the bonds needed to generate consensus and sustain coordinated action. Feelings of otherness invariably undermine motivation to work for the common good, either social or ecological. I've been thinking quite a bit recently about motivation and what distinguishes this community from the one with which we engage often across the street. And I think this idea of motivation is something that we should be exploring quite deeply. We're not motivated by material acquisition or by our name in bright lights. We're motivated by a higher, I would say, a higher calling to moral rectitude, to justice, to loyalty to future generations and each other, to equality. And these kinds of loyalties, I think, are actually at the heart of all of us, not just in this space, but all of us as human beings. You look at a child recently born, learning to articulate the world it sees, and there aren't these distinctions of race or sex or any of these things. These are taught into them. And these motivations for material acquisition are taught into them as well. Yet we have an opportunity, seeing the world as it is, to make profound changes, to advance a new kind of ethos for the human family, one that does not teach out selflessness, but reinforces it, one that does not encourage materialism, but helps us eschew it, and one that values justice and equity and equality above self-preservation and gain and competition. And I think that's what the world teaches us, the natural world teaches us, and that's sort of the spirit that we have to be imbibing and sharing with all of those around us. A flourishing global civilization in harmony with the natural environment. This is a vision toward which growing numbers are laboring. This world that beckons is one of integration and balance, beauty and maturity. It's a world with a redefined sense of progress, filled with communities and individuals working together with the support of institutions toward the realization of their highest aspirations. It's a world increasingly relieved of the destructive moral compromises, social, economic, and environmental, that have so often been asserted as necessary to progress. Movement toward this vision has begun. The momentum is gathering. I think this group is one example of it. But one of the central challenges is this gulf between intention and action. It can be bridged though. Individuals, communities, and nations are contributing their share toward this goal every day. Yet for action to rise to the scales required, far stronger consensus and collective will among the nations is needed around the values demanded by the current stage of humanity's development. It also calls for much greater resolve in putting those values into practice, recommitting to that which is beneficial to the common good, and discarding whatever stands in the way of answering the moral and practical call of the present hour. This is a high endeavor, and its benefits a priceless legacy that must be left to the generations to come. And this gathering is but one example of hopefully many that will help generate that spiritual, moral, and even material change that we need. So let's continue to join together in rising to the demands of this moment. Thank you so much, Guru.
Thank you, Daniel. You brought the universal spirituality, actually. So one of the teaching of Baha'u'llah, I remember in 2006, I was traveling to Middle East to put a yoga program. And Babaji said, if you go, definitely you had to walk through Taba Heights and enter in Israel and see the conflict, how things are going there. I spent around 6 hours in the border to cross. And the first place I went to see, that was the headquarters of Baha'i. It's a beautiful place. You stand in the bottom of the hill and I walked through it and you feel it, when you go to the top. So beautiful. So thank you, Daniel, for all the work you are doing for the climate change and environmental issues and the spirituality and working with our CRNGOs. So happy you're part of it. You're not quite young. I'm the youngest one here, okay? So I'll invite one, and I think we have 2 more speakers. Before that, I want to show a short video that from chip comments. Okay, that's all.
We have a lot of scarce resources today, but I think the scarcest of all is time. We want a planet that works for us, and we have been doing a terrible job of taking care of it.
I think in the United States today, we've got an immediate opportunity because of an immediate problem.
We built our entire society on quote unquote cheap oil.
Our physical world can no longer sustain how we've been doing it for the past 150 years.
No civilization has ever survived the ongoing destruction of its environmental support systems, nor will ours.
It's an experiment that I would rather see us not make.
Climate change is only a political issue in America.
Don't listen to, some, talk radio guy breaking it down for you. Go and do some research yourself.
Because if you don't believe climate change is happening, you just haven't read the science.
When we talk about building a low carbon economy, that's a serious proposition.
We don't have the political will, we don't have the market mechanisms that we need.
We're spending over $300 billion a year importing petroleum and petroleum products into the United States.
We haven't had an energy policy in this country in the last 40 years, and it's time we get one.
Right now, the global climate challenge has exposed to us that we've got an economy that's slowly killing us.
You cannot have healthy kids in an unhealthy world, in a fundamentally unhealthy world, which we will be living in.
The real danger is that we don't get started. The rest of the world is starting to move. If we get moving, there's nothing that can stop the American people from getting the job done.
So our next speaker is Chip Cummins. Can you? Okay, he's here. Let's see.
Hello, Guruji.
You are here. Okay, great. So Chip Cummins is a founder and chairman of the American Renewable Energy Institute. Is a longtime friend of mine, and he always come to the UN events. Now he is in another state. Last 2 years we didn't see, but we connect through WhatsApp, video, and phone, and Facebook. Chip Cummins, floor is for you.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you for inviting me this morning. On Earth Day, I want to acknowledge that this is the 22nd of April, and it is Earth Day being observed not only in the United States, but around the world as the day to appreciate the great mother of us all, Mother Earth. I hope the folks that looked at that video noticed this timestamp. We produced that in 2011, but the information could have been recorded yesterday. Everything that we said there still holds true today, even though that was 12 years ago or 11 years ago. And or anyway, the point is that we are now at a point in our world where we're seeing the tipping points and the feedback loops from putting 3 trillion tons of CO2 into our atmosphere, biosphere, troposphere, and it's breaking down nature in the ocean, in the forests. The farmers, 2 billion people live on $1 a day or less, and they rely on the weather to grow their crops, and they're having a hard time now. And that we're continuing to exacerbate the problem by burning a further 40 billion tons of gases each year, literally pouring fuel to the fire. Now, I think that it's very important to recognize that most of this is happening to produce energy. And the energy that heats and cools our buildings, the energy that powers our cell phones that we all have, cars, trucks, buses, across the entire spectrum. And it's really important to recognize that we can choose and are choosing another way through clean, renewable, sustainable, and energy efficient technologies. But perhaps the most important thing that we need to change is our minds. We literally have to change our minds, which requires a shift in consciousness for all 8 billion people. And I posit that that's why we are where we are now. Let's remember that just 100 years ago, there was only 2 billion people on the planet. Today, 8 in 100 years. In just my lifetime, and I was born in 1955, the population has added approximately 5 billion souls. So why is this happening? I'd like to recite the preamble to a book that I'm writing called Of Carbon and Spirit. It goes like this. You can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't taste it, yet it's ever present everywhere. What is it? Carbon, spirit. And what is carbon? The science tells us that it's everything that's ever lived for 500 million years. It's the phytoplankton, it's the trees, it's the dinosaurs, and it's also our grandparents. It's what we become. Om Mane Padme Om. I am that I am, or I am that. And so we've taken from the Mother Earth this beautifully, perfectly sequestered old life, ancient life, that's now the coal and the oil and the gas. We've brought it out, we've refined it, and we've burned it for short-term power, energy, money. And the remainder is in the atmosphere now as this invisible gas that's heating up our planet. Why? Why are we doing this? Well, obviously, the two things that track perfectly are the human population and the burning of the fossil fuels. So I think, and this is be the thesis of the book, that we must find the balance. We must return to the equity. Let's focus on SDG number 5, gender equity between a man and a woman. Not here, not there, but here, equal. And we must realize that in the last 6,000 years, the story that we've told ourselves is one of a patrilineal expression. And so to realize that we human beings are suffering from a low self-esteem message. And if we don't think that we're worth loving, then we don't think that we're worth living. And so I believe that when we talk about carbon and we talk about spirit, we must come to the conclusion that until we fix this very fundamentally out of balance relationship between the fundamental participants on the planet Earth, meaning half of the world's population is male, half of the world is female. Females actually are a little bit more, but that we must come together in equanimity, not only socially, economically, politically, but spiritually. And we must realize that Mother Earth, who is the mother to us all, is very sad that we've been misbehaving. And the reason I'm moving into this piece of my talk this morning is because I believe that the indigenous people of the planet hold the keys, because we have lost the original instructions. We've lost our way. But the indigenous people remember, and we're all indigenous. Let's remember that. Originally, we're all indigenous people, but we have to remember the original instructions, whether you're a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, anything else. There is only the way, the truth, right? That's what we're all seeking here. And so I believe that in order to rebalance at this point in time, when the systems are extremely out of balance, including the war that's raging in the Ukraine, that we must not forget our brothers and sisters that are suffering there. But all the other climate refugees on the planet now that are having a hard time feeding their families because of the disruption in the weather patterns, we must return to a form of equanimity that the indigenous peoples of the planet, about 800 million people, remember. And what I'm saying here is that the indigenous people, they have the traditional territories, the reservations, and the reserves that are the last backstop, firewall between 8 billion people on the planet and the remaining biosphere. So when E.O. Wilson, the great biologist from Harvard who just recently passed away, says that we have got to save half the Earth, he's not joking around. This is required in order for us to continue to have a sustainable evolution of our species on planet Earth. So therefore, I suggest that we honor the indigenous traditions and wisdom, particularly when they come to the United Nations, to show up at the table and tell us, and then listen carefully, because you'll see that as we do that, and we look at systems like transitioning from fossil fuels to renewable energy, or to sequestering, drawing down the carbon and putting it back in the earth through regenerative agricultural practices and restoration of our soils, that we're going to be able to achieve all of our goals. But of course, to change our minds, to shift our consciousness, is how best we can actually have a successful transition and evolution at this time of great change that's been prophesized by all the major and minor religions, as we all know. These are the times, and the time is now. I will finish by telling you that I'm very pleased to be, could you pass me the poster, please? To be producing this event, if everybody can see it, I'll hold it up. And it's called Planetary Change, the Maya Calendar, and the 4 Earth Mandates. And you might see that I'm working with Mendahi Bastida, his lovely wife Geraldine, and doctors JJ and Desiree Hertak. And we will do this in Sedona, Arizona on the 3rd of May. And it's based on the 4 Earth Mandates. And I'd just like to read them to conclude. The 4 Earth Mandates are based on the fact that humanity has forgotten the original instructions. And the Kogi people from Colombia, up out of Santa Marta, you've probably heard of the Kogi, who refer to humanity as younger brother, and they kept us at bay up until 20 years ago when they came out, have been preserving a certain knowledge all these years. Number one, we must acknowledge indigenous spiritual authority. Number two, we must acknowledge, pray, and make spiritual payments to sacred sites around the world. Mount Shasta, Mount Kilimanjaro, the Big Island, Hawaii, many others, Mount Fuji. Number three, they say we should create 13 houses of original thought to teach intergenerational indigenous knowledge centered around the fire. What does that mean? The fire is where we look when we're little babies in our mom and dad's hearth and it transfixes us. We like to sit around the campfire, right? The fire has always held the keys to understanding who and what we are. And the fourth mandate is to work in collaboration with all of humanity, all of our organizations, in order to get this done. You know, these are the times of great change. There's no doubt about that. And I'm very happy to be producing this event in conjunction with these colleagues in order to remember what's necessary. I'll hold up the flyer again so everybody can see it. It's or I'll send it out on the link. Maybe that's the best way to do it.
Send me the PDF file. I can blast it on our social.
Okay, that's great. You know, I'll just slowly show you the file. Here's the Hertax, the Keys of Enoch, Mendahi Bastida, who is Otomi Toltec, Geraldine, his wife, who is she is the, all of these folks are PhD'd. In fact, Mendahi has 2, JJ has 4. These are some very smart folks. And that, of course, Mendahi and Geraldine are the parents of Shie. You probably know who Shie is, who has been speaking to the world leaders in the last few years. She's the indigenous Greta. We work very closely with her as well. And the Hertax, of course, wrote the book, The Keys of Enoch, which is a beautiful understanding of systems, spiritual traditions, etc. So you'll see the picture of Sedona, the Mayan pyramid is there for a reason. And the reason is that Geraldine looked into the codex as part of her PhD dissertation, and she understood that the experts missed the mark, and the 13th Baktun of the Maya did not end on 12/21/12 as was prophesized or said, but in fact they didn't understand how to see how the Mayan looked at the leap year, and in fact the date was May the 3rd, 2013. That's why we're doing this event in Sedona on May the 3rd, 2022. On May the 3rd, 2013 began a 13-year transitional period to the beginning of the 14th Baktun, which happens on May the 3rd, 2026. And this will be recognizing the end of the 9th year of that transition that we are in right now, in fact. And so I invite all of you, any of you who would wish to travel to Sedona to join us. This is a beautiful event that's going to be produced in a lovely venue. Very high consciousness, very high spirituality. I'm sure you've all heard of Sedona or been here before. It's quite an extraordinary sacred place with many vortexes. So thank you so much for hearing me today. I wanted to deliver you this message from Sedona, Arizona on Earth Day. And I also want to conclude with a prayer from Mother Earth, and that is, you know, Great Spirit, Wakan Tanka Tankashala, Mother Earth, please hear our prayers at this time to send us the strength and the power and the wisdom to be vehicles of the great intention. Aho.
Aho. Thank you, Chief Cummins. And you are the first person I called when we had this plan to have this event, you know. I remember I called from the Central Park standing on the rock. Hey, Chief, just save the date for us. Right? So you brought so much points, you know. I love the video. Video is so beautiful. So I'm going to make Richard Jordan is one of the senior NGO leader from the UN to make a short comment and a question to our panelists.
Thank you, Guruji. Happy International Mother Earth Day. In the UN system, it's International Mother Earth Day. And the original Earth Day was always celebrated at the UN in March on the first day of spring. I won't mention anything else, but no matter what time spring arrived, security let let us into the building, and we sang with Pete Seeger and many other environmental activists. And I think the Hertax longtime friends also were there. Just one thought that I've been on 4 other meetings today, all revolving around the spirit and the earth. And if we can just unite our spiritual traditions with as much passion as people who watch the National Basketball Association playoffs, we'll be doing really well. So happy NBA playoff tournament, happy Mother Earth Day, and thank you, Guruji, for this opportunity.
So I'll ask one question to our panelists.
Okay.
We all have a different experience in different areas, right? Just forget about all the differences. Just think about the entire earth. What is the main point we had to think about immediately? What is the change we need within 24 hours? So I'll ask, everybody will get to 1 minute. That way we can have another question. I'll go to Daniel Pereira.
Oh my gosh. So you say, what do we need in the next 24 hours? And a quick answer. I think we need a moment of recalibration. We are prioritizing the wrong things. And I think we all know it emotionally in our hearts, but it's very hard materially for us to enact that change. And I think if we fundamentally and dedicatedly reorient ourselves in the next 24 hours, then all of the other things will flow from it. New legislation, new financing, everything will flow from it. But unless we do that, all these other changes are superficial, to be provocative.
Queen Mother is running out the door.
Where are you?
Happy Earth Day to everyone. And I say the word is grace.
I was, 1 minute, Queen Mother. I was asking it to open your video, then nothing happened. Okay, what is the message you want to say?
The word is grace, as Queen Mother run out the day to Mother Earth. Today is a beautiful day to be engaged with Mother Earth, from the United Nations to the outside world itself. So Queen Mother is enjoying that world right this moment. The word is grace to all of us, grace.
Thank you, Queen Mother. You were able to join. I saw you earlier, then I was waiting for the moment.
Blessings, thank you, blessings.
So the next person is Julia, Sister Julia from Brahma Kumaris.
Well, I was thinking along the same sort of lines as Daniel, actually, that we need to recalibrate ourselves so that there can be this shift. But I was thinking, well, where does that recalibration come from? Of course, I think it comes from, deep inside, really. The love and respect for ourselves, and the love and respect for the human family, and of course Mother Earth. I think how to connect to that is by going into silence and really connecting with that truth that we hold so dear in our hearts. And from there, whatever emerges, and maybe we need 24 hours to do it, I don't know, but at least a moment of that silence to really connect to that truth and love, which will inspire us to see things differently and act differently in the world, because it's from there our behaviors have to change as a community. Yeah.
Well said, Julia. I know the importance of silence. We used to have retreats, silent retreats, not talking to anybody for days. I used to live in a mountain cave for a year, 1 meal a day, silent. Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Mm.
Maybe those things gave me some energy to come here, do work.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. We need to listen to that inner voice, don't we? And not be so influenced by everything of the world to get a different perspective. We're going to really make that big change.
Thank you. Reverend Martha?
Thank you for the opportunity to say, I actually hope this is, I was seeing that, first of all, what we spoke to is our sense of oneness with one another and with Mother Earth. We have that down. So, and that we know that that points to systems change, that part of our mind shift is to think away from our individuality and toward the collective good, as Mother Earth does for the entire web of nature. So I would say the one thing that all of us could use is to identify our point of entry into this great collaboration. Chip is writing a book on his point of entry into this greater system. I spoke to the sense of a higher level of understanding regarding the economics. Daniel and Julia spoke to the state, the underpinning of all of that, as did grandmother Patricia, but who's out planting trees. And so I would say it's finding the action that speaks, that expresses that inner voice from which we've come to. There's a collective understanding. My current word that I focus on is synthesis. That 20 years ago, we understood from Thomas Berry this need for cooperation, and we saw cooperation as sacred. And so for me, now with cooperation, from cooperation to action, let's recognize our own potency by identifying where is our point of entry to be a part of that change. Thanks, Guruji.
Thank you, Reverend Martha. You brought that word synthesis itself. It's a big thing. I remember we used to go with the traditional style for yoga. Then we made the synthesis of yoga. That dialogue came from Swami Shivananda. He used to open up all the ashrams, made a big movement around the globe. He sent all the monks to different countries. Yoga became popular. I know Grandmother Patricia want to say something. Yes, Grandmother.
Okay, thank you, Guruji. And right at this moment, I would like to reframe the term consciousness, because it produces perception, and then our reality is relative to our perception. And then we find ourselves that we're not following spiritual morality. And the reframe means to our original holy thinking, eholzen, do and sahake, clear and congruent thinking of our conscience, and thereby that indigenous wisdom and knowledge is in our conscience, our whole brain thinking, the appropriate function of our holy thinking, and that is requiring moral reasoning, and therefore we have spiritual morality in our decision making and our actions and those outcomes. So that is how I'm using the word reframe, because there are two thinking systems. There's inverse, Eurocentric dualistic inverse, which is the belief in our deficient self-image. And that is where the reframe is to affirmative thinking system. Indigenous worldview lens is that we are existing collectively in where our language does not even have a concept for what I love to tell you every time. We cannot say, but not you. There's no way to say, but not you. It's inclusive language. And that does require our awakening. And I love the two words, the recalibrating and our aura. that there's two levels. Reconfiguring is the internal, intrapersonal, and then the interpersonal is reconfiguring. That way we return to the original teachings that we're all existing in collectively, rather than confronting and arguing and debating and so on. Because that delay of following false teaching and false prophets, that delay is what causes us suffering. And that's why our language is built in, and I'm using and only teaching Dileepkumar Thankappan, which is a spiritual ceremonial language of reframing our thinking for what it is for. And I call the criminal mind using our thinking for what it's not for. So that's my inspiration and motivation for this reframe. I hope I am getting across you where we are right now. It is truly a cosmic planetary, I call it reverent revolution, where we don't give our resources from the poor to the rich, from the bottom to the top, but clockwise from elder to youth every 7 generations. And Ashabik Eho means clockwise within the natural order from elder to youth and the next 7 generations. So that's my comment.
Yeah, there's a beautiful point you brought it, grandmother, because most of the time we are a frog in the well. We won't come out from the well. So when we travel, when we interact with the people, then we learn it and we know the world is different. You know, I used to travel all over in India before coming to America, you know, all the states, and see different cultures. It was amazing. India has over 2,000 dialects, and most of the language I cannot understand, you know, but at least I connect with them, spend time with them, we dance, sing together. That's easy. There's no language for those, you know. Then end up in America, then traveling in different countries. Then I feel like I am traveling from individual consciousness to the super state, moving and experiencing, getting experience. Every day is a learning process going on. You brought that point. It's very important to have a super consciousness state for each individual to bring the pranic energy in the universe through our actions and the divinity. We don't think about God always. God is sitting in upstairs. We should bring the godliness in our actions. I believe in that part. You know, every moment we had to be part of it. Thank you, Grandma, for a wonderful point. Chip, comments? You have a minute to answer.
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for hearing my words today. I am the founder and the chairman of the American Renewable Energy Institute, and have been convening thought leaders since 2004. And this is where I come to at this point. And at the highest level, as you can see from the video, the folks that have been coming through the R-Day platform since then. Ted Turner has contributed perhaps as much as any individual can in this lifetime, in this modern era, including $1 billion to the United Nations Foundation to help use the UN platform to gather us together. I think now, though, it's very important to recognize that we are past all that. We are on the edge of the great transition that has been forecast by everybody, from the Hopi to the Kogi to all of the indigenous prophecies, but then also in the Bible of the Christian, and I dare say any number of other. We've always known that this is the time. There's a reason why the human race has quadrupled in one lifetime. There's a reason for that. And we need to be cognizant of what that actually is in terms of who we are in our small solar system. I'd like to conclude my thoughts today with, as the Earth has a moon, that circles once every 30 days and influences the procreation of all life on the planet, from the human being to the coral reefs in the ocean. And without the coral reefs, we wouldn't even have land. Let's remember that. Going back into ancient times, 500 million years ago, the corals are very, very important, and they're dying. But so too does the Earth go around the sun once every 365 days, as we know, spinning on its axis. But also remember that the sun itself, from which we came originally, the Earth came from the sun. The sun too goes around its center point once every 250 million years, one revolution through this, around the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And the galaxy also, our galaxy, goes around its center point that's so big that we can't even imagine how much time it takes to make one revolution. In the great cosmos, where everything is in motion, the one thing that connects us all, from the smallest microcosm of the atomic structure of an atom to the greatest macro structure of the galaxies themselves, the one thing that we all have in common is motion, is movement. And what differentiates that movement is the vibration. Things are vibrating at different speeds of motion, right? So I just wanted to focus from the large to the small for a moment here to remember our place in this sacred universe of the water planet. It's such a beautiful place. And I believe souls are lined up for light years, lined up to reincarnate here, to incarnate here. And yet, now we're at that place again. Once again, the last time we were here was 250 million years ago. And you know what happened then? That was the end of the Permian, what the paleontologists call the Great Dying. We've had 5 great extinction events in the last 500 million years. Each time we take out about 80 to 90% of life, but this is some remaining. But that particular one, everything died down to 4% of all of it. And so now we find ourselves in the same place in the galaxy once again. And it's a time for humanity to remember the original instructions. So thank you, Patricia Ann Davis, for bringing your indigenous wisdom to the table here today, and that of your husband. And I want to acknowledge that the indigenous people remember. All of the indigenous people remember. It doesn't matter if it's a North American or a South American a native person, but also Africa and in the Arctic regions, all over the planet. So I think it's really important not only to bring the indigenous people to the table, but to ask them to help us to remember, so that we can actually remember who we actually really are as spiritual beings. You know, there's the way that I see it. There's the way that you all see it, or everybody else on the planet. There's 8 billion different points of view. But then there's the third way, which is the way that it actually is. That's what I'm talking about here. Not subjective, not objective. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you for some time to speak today. I really appreciate it. Namaste.
So we have 10 minutes delayed in the program. Overall, it's not bad, pretty good. But I want to make sure everybody get at least their time. Before entering in the third section with the religious leaders, I want to ask our Michelle Delafave to sing our song, and Ursula will go with the religious group. Okay, Michelle, floor is for you.
Thank you, Guruji. Wow, such words of wisdom and such gifts. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Oh Lord, we don't need another mountain. There are mountains and hillsides enough to climb. There are oceans and rivers enough to cross, enough to last till the end of time. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Oh Lord, we don't need another meadow. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine. Oh, listen, Lord, if you want to know what the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone, everyone.
Hallelujah. You brought all the love today. That's a good song.
Thank you.
Guruji, can I have a minute to say a few words of praise for
Everybody
the
will get a
nature?
chance, but those who are in the flyer has to go first. Then everybody get a chance.
Okay.
So now I like to invite our religious leader, Reverend Dr. Frank Kaufman, is the president of 12 Gates Foundation and the advisor to the Well community. So over 45 years, he's working in the inter-religious activities around the globe. The tremendous work he does, and last few months he is with me for visiting our assemblyman, creating resolutions and all the part. I only let all the religious leaders, those who are in the flyer, you have 5 minutes, stick with the 5 minutes. After that, we'll calculate the time, then we'll distribute the time. Okay. Dr. Frank Kaufman, floor is for you.
Thank you, Guruji. Thanks for your tireless labor and work constantly gathering us together. It's always a blessing. And without you, we wouldn't have the opportunity to be among one another. We're getting to know new friends, even just through these meetings. And it's not simple or easy to be in such a group of conscientious and enlightened people who are making a difference in the world. So we're really grateful to you and your hard work. It's just plain hard work. Oftentimes I have a few words to say, or you invite us to offer a little talk, but for whatever reason this morning I was guided to simply offer a prayer. So for anyone who's willing or in the mood, if you would join me in prayer, and this is all I have to say for today, is just offer a prayer. So I'll pray. Our loving God, we come to you in humility and gratitude. You created a wondrous and infinite cosmos to show us yourself and to give us wonder, joy, and the invitation to be creative together with you. In a tiny spot in this infinite cosmos, you created our fragile and precious home, this rich and lustrous planet, Earth. You blessed her with perfect and magical gifts from the sun and the moon. On this Earth Day, we wish to ask your forgiveness for our carelessness and greed, exploiting our dear Mother Earth for petty comfort and shallow self-interest. Please lift us up into a more perfect heart of love for you and for our precious Mother Earth. Please show us how to heal her and ourselves. Please make us one in love for one another. And please show us all together the heart and the science to renew our tender, beloved planet. Amen.
Amen. That's a beautiful prayer. Prayer is important than anything. Every day we had to pray for everyone, not only for us. That's the way I never pray for myself. Yeah. You pray for an entire universe, everything will happen automatically. That's the way it is. Thank you, Frank, Dr. Frank Kaufman, for joining and blessing
you.
us. Appreciate your support.
Thank
Now
you.
I'd like to invite Sri Devi Vaidyanath Shivacharya, the Director of the Religious Affairs at the Hindu Temple Society of North America. Hindu Temple is the first, we call Ganesh Temple the first temple in entire North America. And Swami Bua was there during the foundation of that temple. I was part of the foundation of the flag post. And recently, New York City announced Ganesh Temple Street, the street, Bond Street, as a co-name. That when I was part of it. Reviji, flourish for it.
Thank you and namaste. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to offer prayer on this very important day, which all of us are concerned now. My prayer is going to be in Sanskrit from Yajurveda, which is our ultimate text. And of course, I'll also give you a brief translation in English for every one of us to understand it. Om Dhyau Shantihi Antarikshagum Shantihi Prithvi Shantihi Apaha Shantihi Oshadhaya Shantihi Vanaspataya Shantihi Shantir Vishve Deva Shantihi Brahma Shantihi Sarvam Shantihi Shantireva Shantihi Sama Shanti Redhi Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. The brief meaning goes like this. May the enlightened persons of all ranks be protected by the Lord. May the powerful worldly forces present in the heavenly region, in the atmosphere, in the herbs, trees and creepers, in animal kingdom, in earth, water, light, heat, fire, air, the vast ethereal space be protected and become the source of peaceful life. O Lord, show us the right path in protecting the earth and its resources. Thank you and namaste.
Namaste ji. I know these are written in Sanskrit 10,000 years back, before all of these new age researchers and the universities. And how much wisdom they had those days, So we had to bring those days back. Then the world will change. I'm so happy you are joining and blessing us. So I want to make sure you are aware about. We have 1 month yoga festival happening from June 1st to 30th. I'll come to the temple and explain all this stuff. Okay, thank you. And now I like to invite my brother, Reverend Dr. T.K. Nagagaki. Where is he? Okay, he's here.
Yes, I'm here. Can you see me okay?
Yeah, we can see.
Can you hear me? Okay.
He's the
Well,
founder
thank
of the
you.
Have Peace and Reconciliation Foundation of New York, very activist for the peace and the interfaith. Last around 6 or 7 years, we are partnering some even events together. And TK is one of my close buddy in the interfaith group in New York City. TK, flourish.
Okay. Well, thank you, Guruji, very, very much. For my pleasure to always be with you, and then the wonderful speakers. I try to be here from the beginning, but in between I missed some of the parts. So I just wanted to really appreciate efforts to bringing wonderful people together. And I agree, and we should be able to do something with this kind of wonderful teachers, people here today. And so maybe we should really share the wisdom. And then one thing that I just feel like one word that I feel like a little missing. I don't know, maybe I missed some of the parts people mentioned it. But for me, the most important things for the nature or the earth is actually gratitude. We should really be able to do gratitude. Like, in Japan, we used to have, used to actually still, I normally wake up, first thing in the morning, I just even do something else. I just go out I have a little garden. And so we just, say greeting to the sun normally. I mean, of course, if it's rain, can't do, but, starting from the sun to show our gratitude. Good morning, and thank you for today also. So giving me this wonderful day. I think that feeling of the gratitude is something very important. Love, of course, rights and all those things, they're very important maybe, but yet we should be able to start from the very beginning of the, just simply the sun. And also I realized today, this is a kind of I just made myself like this. Does it look like me? I hope. But no, the thing is arigato, in Japanese words, so which means thank you, simply. And then we just should be able to thank for everything all around, even including all the human beings. But we are surrounded on this, all different kind of living beings. So even a little, I don't know what is it, tampopo is that. That what's the name of the yellow one? I forgot. That lion, something like that, right? And the tulips and the little flowers comes in the side of the street. But then even that, you can feel the earth is protecting all those things, nurturing all those things, and so as the human beings too. So instead, we try to do something for the earth, but first thing is probably we should really appreciate all the things that we receive from the earth, so that's the kind of feeling. So that's why I have that this little Buddha, not the Buddha, but myself, putting your hands together and then say arigato, or thank you very much. And that's something that I feel that Earth Day is a day of thanking to the earth. We do enough damage, so we should fix it. And also we should keep in your mind of the peace and the harmony with the earth. With that, I just ring the bell. So no words from me, but you can feel, during this time, you can show appreciation to anything about all the different beings on the earth. We share this planet of earth with all beings, and then we are supported by the earth, Mother Earth. And happy Earth Day. Peace to you all, and my gratitude to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, TK. That was wonderful. You brought these images so people get some idea.
But I forgot to bring the picture of the Earth itself. Sorry.
That we have. Michelle has the tree and the planet.
Right.
So now I like to invite. Let me see the list. Srimati Monica Villard, the main NGO representative of the United Religions Initiative to the UN, the very hardworking NGO leader, spiritual leader at the UN community. Recently, we had a wonderful party for her retirement. I know she's not going to return. We won't make her to return. She's traveling today. So, Monica, floor is for you.
Guruji, thank you so much for including me in your wonderful Earth Day festival. It is exciting to be with you this day, and I appreciate so much your flexibility because I am in the car, so there's going to be a little bit of background changes. If I was smarter about my phone use, I could change my background, so I could have done it differently, but I'm sorry. Welcome to the Northport, and so I just left that wonderful scene of the water next to me. So I bring you and I just so appreciate it. I get bad reception. I'm sorry. I am happy to talk to you today about Earth Day for a number of reasons. One of the things following the beautiful meditation, thank you, TK, for the beautiful images you brought to mind in our pause. I actually have a little different message for Earth Day today, and that is the connection between war, militarism, and our planet. And I just ask each of us to pause for a minute. Just a second. If you could think about the images that you are seeing coming from the Ukraine, and you see how war is destroying everything about the planet where they are. It is absolutely essential that at this time in history, we stop and really reconnect to the earth in every way possible. And that means protecting our earth, protecting our sacred sites, protecting our water and air, and particularly protecting our people from needless attack. And I just want us to reframe thinking about Earth Day, not just as an environmental day, but as a day to be at peace on the earth, with one another, and particularly to hold in our hearts at this moment that we never use nuclear weapons ever again. Following TK and knowing the dedication that he has put into reminding us about the effects of nuclear weapons over the years, and to know that the fate of this planet is in our hands right now, and we must recommit to call for peace, to call for justice. I don't mean this to not protect the planet and protect your homes, but we have to find other ways. And we are seeing the economic sanctions applied in a whole new way. We are seeing people really working together in ways that we haven't seen in a while. The collaboration, the consideration of refugees, the putting our hearts and our minds focusing on the horror that other people are feeling. Let us take that feeling today in Earth Day and not hold on to the sorrow, but take it as a leap into a future where we work together more collaboratively to create peace, to support a shift away from militarism, to demand that we never use nuclear weapons, and to hold every person, every being, every piece of land, our planet. Think of our beautiful blue planet, and wherever you would laser in on from outer space, you see that it's all one place. We must go to unity. We must move into this new time, and we have to be active participants. Little or big ways are necessary. And I think that some of the little ways, particularly on Earth Day, we can pledge to use less plastics. We can pledge to be kinder. We can pledge to really hold one another in our hearts, particularly those who are really experiencing the scourge of war, the pain of bad health, the sense of loneliness. And let us take that love of nature, of the beauty that surrounds us, into our hearts, recognizing that there are many who are suffering. Give great gratitude and commit to peace. Peace in our hearts, in our homes, our community, and the world. And do one thing today that connects you even more to building peace, starting today and into the future. I thank you so much for having me on this program, Guruji. I want to thank the wonderful people watching now and on Facebook. And I just so honor the amazing work you do to change the energy in our systems, on the internet, and you bring such joy and togetherness. Thank you so much. Happy Earth Day, everyone.
Thank you, dear Monica. You are the mobile peace woman.
Thank you so much.
On the road, you are ready to join. That's the dedication. I had to appreciate that one. Thank you so much. Now,
Bye-bye.
bye. Now we'll go with the song by Michelle. Michelle Flores.
Thank you. What a wonderful program. I'm finishing with an original piece called Prayer for Humankind.
Differences are the gift. Interdependence is our strength. Pray for the world. Pray for humankind. Pray for the world. interdependence is our strength. Pray for the world. Pray for humankind. Pray for the world. Pray for peace on earth. Pray for the world. Pray for humankind. Pray for the earth. Pray for humankind. One love for all. Shalom. Namaste. One love.
Thank you, Misha. That was a very deep one.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Now I'm opening the floor for everyone. Those who are in the meeting. I know over 500 people are watching the program on our Facebook. I go with, let me see. Ursula, are you there? Okay. Thank you for joining from Bolivia.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Happy International Mother Earth. We are so happy to share from Bolivia the video that you showed at the beginning. It was a beautiful activity that we were united with the families, different generations, to be conscious of our environment, to be conscious of our surroundings, and think about what we do every day to help. We can take care of the water in our houses, we can recycle, we can do compost, so little things that will help our Mother Earth. So in Bolivia, we are so happy that we are still having indigenous communities, that they have a beautiful knowledge. So also the sustainable goal number 11, we are helping our little community Quilima to be an eco-sustainable community. So, but in this process that we were teaching them a few things about eco-technologies, because this is a work that we do together. We learn from there and they learn from the academy. So that help us to see the past in the present to build a better future. So thank you. I was so happy to hear all the speakers, beautiful things that we have to remember in our everyday. You know, our Mother Earth give us so many things, and we have to have a little time to say thank you. Even though when we are planting a little tree, we have to bless that earth to make that tree grow bigger, and that tree in the future is gonna help us to give a shadow, to help our lungs, to make oxygen. So also we have to take care of every little tree in our planet. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste, namaste. Thank you, Ursula, joining from Bolivia. I would like to invite Reverend Bruce Gardner, one of my longtime friend from the Unification Church from 43rd Street. We did so many events together. Reverend Bruce, flourish for it. I know you are driving, so I'll let you go.
Yeah,
I thank you for this program. As you know, I work with the World Christian Leadership Conference. I'm the Secretary General, and I just, when I hear and I see and I know the importance of collaboration and partnership, working together. I'm really blessed by this morning, this program, your work, your efforts, because there's such a spiritual internal dimension to this kind of work, and I understand that if we're ever going to solve the world's problems, we have to solve our own problem, the conflict within each one of ourselves, and that brings us back to I heard many of the speakers really talked about the internalization of knowing that we're loved or receiving love, and then certainly helping to heal others. Because if we as the inhabitants of this planet aren't healed, and we don't feel loved, we're not going to love anything. We're not going to love the nature. We're not going to love creation. And I just feel, we got to really, love, allow ourselves to experience love, even through nature, to experience. I oftentimes say, and I realize, science has not even been able to create one blade of grass, so this intelligence, design, God, whatever name we might call the creator, is brilliant, masterful, and certainly the expression of that beauty and creativity is so clearly seen within nature. And I think I ran a camp for many years up in the mountains, and I just remember seeing so many young people from the inner cities come, and you don't have to speak volumes. You just have to just be in nature, and it speaks to you. And if we can listen, then we can really hear, and we can grow, and we can know that we're loved. That's it. Thank you, Guruji. Really appreciate your investment and your beautiful people on this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Bruce, for joining, and I'm happy you are part of it. It's very important to have my brother from Unification Church. And now I like to ask Dr. Bhatia. He raised the hand earlier.
Thank you, Guruji, for giving me time to say a few words. The world is now beginning to realize that it has to change its ways to stop the destruction of nature. Somebody mentioned that our life is energy focused. Actually, it's an intensive energy focus. That's the unfortunate part of it. Ever since man learned to create fire, energy has become a part of our existence. Anyhow, I will not go into details. All the other speakers have spoken so wonderfully, and I will not repeat my sentiments. Mostly they are in common with all those people. But I would like to just read the song of Guru Nanak in praise of Mother Nature. It's Guru Granth Sahib, pages 463, 464, 469. Balihari Kudrat Vasya, Ter Ant na jai lakhya, Vismad Paun, Vismad Pani, Vismad Agni, Khede Vidani, Vismad Tarti, Vismad Khani, Vismad Sad, Vismad Lage Prani, Visad Sanjog, Visad Sanjog, Visad Pukh, Vismad Pog, Kudrat Disay, Kudrat Suniye, Kudrat Pausuksar, Kudrat Khana, Pina, Pehna, Kudrat Sar Pyar, Kudrat Batali Akasi, Kudrat Sarv Akar, Kudrat Ved Puran Kateba, Kudrat Sarv Vichar, कुदरत पाउन पानी बेसंतर कुदरत धरती खाक सब तेरी कुदरत तू करता कुदरत नहीं पाक. I only quoted a few lines of the great poem Guru Nanak wrote. And the central idea of this is the one supreme God, or whatever way you understand, dwells within the nature, and he is beyond any limits. Blissful and cherished is air and water. Blissful and cherished is fire and its dance. Blissful and cherished is the earth and its creation. The nature can be seen, can be heard, and the source of joy of life. So that's in brief, that Kudrat is central to God. Actually, God dwells within nature. To love God, to serve God, is to serve his creation. And that is nature, Kudrat. Kudrat means nature. I thank you very much, Guruji. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Now I like to invite Dr. Kabal Singh. Those who are going to speak, just stick with the 2 minutes because I have another meeting at the UN and go to Senator for a resolution to fix it. So, okay, Dr. Kabal Singh, the floor is for you.
Thank you, sir. Greetings. Sat Sri Akal. Sikh view is based, as Mr. Padia told, recited the poem of Guru Nanak, based on the teachings of Guru Nanak. 550 years ago, when he was on this earth, he pointed out that God lives in his creation and beyond. He did not emphasize the presence of hell or heaven or any of those things, was not part of his theology. His emphasis was, as you sow, so shall you reap. Because the God has given us the gift of mind, God has given us all the faculties to serve and be part of his creation and to take care of it and perpetuate for the good of the world, so that we all can live with goodwill, harmony, and peace. We can all prosper. We can all help each other to achieve the fullest potential possible right here in this earth and created a heaven. So my appeal to you, all of you, is please do whatever you can with yourself and with your environments to maintain them for a good purpose, so that we can all benefit. Even in the public health area, if we want a good public health, if we want good our natural resources, then we have to act ourselves, not to create trash unnecessarily, and not to excessively use these resources, including energy and water, to the degree where we make short for other people. So having said that, it all depends on us how we want to take care of our environments. Our mind over here is restless, and sometimes the restless is only quietened by through sexual exploitation, leads to more procreation and more biggest population in the world, because we are relatively so engrossed in Maya and keeping ourselves out of balance. So once we achieve the key to bliss, which is to look more internally and look for the light which is within us to commune with, then we can be at peaceful state. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kabal Singh ji, for your wonderful remarks. And definitely we'll have more dialogue in June. We have 30 days program, so we can have elaborated dialogues those days. Now I'd like to invite Bishop Theodosia, one of my longtime friend from the interfaith, interreligious group in Manhattan.
Each and every one today. Truly, namaste. It is an honor and a blessing to be here on this Earth Day. To you, Guruji, thanks for inviting me and always keeping in touch with me. To everyone here today, I just want to say thank you for us being able to come together in a community like this, to be able to join together like this, to pay homage to the Mother Earth, and to acknowledge that we are the ones that have to make the change and make the difference on earth. And if it starts with us and we will be able to pass it on to others, we'll be able to impart wisdom to others, how important it is for us to respect and honor Mother Earth so that Mother Earth can continue to bless us. We are a universal children and community, and together we're gonna make this earth to be all that we desire for it to be and all the Creator desires it to be. And I'm thankful to be a part of this community, a part of this Earth Day celebration. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, Bishop. You are in Brooklyn now, right? Bishop?
Yes, I'm in Brooklyn.
Great.
Yes.
Sunday, our new borough president is taking in charge. I think there's a program going on. Now I like to invite Harbir K. Bhatia. Flourish for it.
Thank you, Guruji. This is my first time attending your program, but my father, Jaspir Bhatia, and Uncle Kripal Uncle have spoken very highly, so I thought I should especially attend today.
Yeah.
I want to first say thanks to everybody that has spoken. It has been so uplifting and inspiring, totally moving, and it is definitely clear that we're in the Sangat of true people. Thanks to you. So I wanted to just quickly share my thoughts. So I wanted to take the point of view of the a person who believes that there's no such thing as a higher power, to provide a counter view, even though I believe exactly in the message that the wonderful speakers have spoken and my father and uncle have spoken. But let's take the view of E equals MC squared from Einstein. Energy equals mass times light squared. Now, if we look at that, it basically means that you break us down, we're energy, but energy is what makes us. If we look at it from that perspective, you cannot ever feel that you are not connected to the others, because you're made of the same stuff, and that is energy. So to deny that is to deny science, deny religion. Either side of that coin, one can find a way to believe and respect the environment and the earth that we live in. And that includes every living being, and also even the non-living things, because they're, again, formation of that E equals MC squared, or this Einstein's point that mass is made by energy divided by light squared. And I'm pointing this out just because it is for those that are in the science point of view who believe that, don't want to believe that there is a God, fine, that's okay. But we can speak from a scientific point of view that no matter what we say, we break down to the same stuff and we're made of the same stuff. Now, that being said, we have to take action. I have been a public official for some time, but I've been a community organizer as well. And I tell you, you have to care by being involved in policy making. You have to go to your council meetings. You have to speak up at those council meetings, because those decisions affect the future generations. They affect the use of water. They affect the infrastructure, the old infrastructure that creates poison into our earth, but that also creates bad lives, bad spaces for children to grow, which is another form of our life. So I mentioned these things because they're very actionable outcomes that you can take. And if you don't, then we're just talking the talk. We need to walk the talk, as they say, or walk the walk. So I just ask everybody to please think about, how are these to be put into action? Yes, we need to inspire, but we also need to teach them the ways to act. And finally, I'd like to conclude that my mother and I just came back from Ukraine, for those that spoke about Ukraine. And, we were there firsthand working with the refugees, firsthand with the victims. And people asked, why did we go? Because there are people who are suffering. And if we do not stand up against bullies, then we're basically saying that any bully can take and overpower anyone else. And that includes making decisions on our farmlands, that makes decisions on policies about how governments are run. So thank you for that time. But please note, the minds are evolving, and therefore our awareness is evolving, but we must put it into action. Thank you for the time. I know I went over to 3 minutes, but thank you for the time.
Thank you, Harbir, for joining us. I'll always prefer to everybody think about the spirituality or the religion and science should move hand in hand. Science is the word science only 200 years old, but Shastra, the origin of the word in Sanskrit in Indian literature, that is very old. Before anybody think about science, they had the Shastra means science. So I think this way. We are in a globalized life. So we have to think about a globalized system, education-wise, religious-wise, any actions what we do, it will affect anyone one around the globe. Look at the war in Ukraine. People think that is a problem only with Russia and Ukraine. Not really. It is affecting all of us. It is destroying all the creative buildings that came from the Mother Earth. We are destroying that. We are destroying the life of children. We are destroying the life of females. We kill all the men and make them, in empty hand without anything. That's not correct. So I don't want to go to too much politics because it's very hard to handle it. So we have to create a creative community around the globe. Those who have the values and care about others and keep the love, more than religion or a culture. You should go beyond it. When you think about Jesus, he just only talk about love, nothing else. He never asked us to make a Christianity, right? But we made it, nothing wrong with it. But only thing is, all the leaders supposed to do according to the teaching of Jesus. Same thing with the Hindus, Muslims, whoever do things, That's a part we had to work on. That's why we have interfaith harmony. Everybody come together, do things together, instead of stepping on other people. Some countries, they have more Christians or Muslims or Hindus, doesn't matter. But in the humanitarian way, I'll say, we all are divine beings on this earth to live equally with a peaceful manner. We cannot violate that. So now I like to invite Reverend Chris to say a few words.
Wonderful program and speakers. I'm sorry that I missed the first part, but I will go back and watch that. And I'm always so blessed to be here. And my very first time with being with Mother Earth was when my older brother, who was studying to be a Franciscan priest, gave to me a mandolin. And on that mandolin, it was tuned to the Book of the Dead of Mother Earth. And as I played the tune of Mother Earth, I felt Mother Earth's heartbeat. And ever since then, I've always come to understand from horizon to horizon, Mother's heartbeat, eternal flow of love. We have four great mothers. We have God, we have the true parents, we have our own physical mother, and we have, especially as we celebrate today, Mother Earth. And as a long-time friend of Bruce Grodner up in the camp where I took my children when they were very young, it is a wonderful place to always be with nature and to always understand nature as our true mother and really have a child heart towards her is a child of smiling, giggling, and always wanting to be nurtured by our mother as she gives us life. She gives us love. And through her, we will give lineage to that life and love. So I thank you so much that I could be here and the great speakers that have spoken today, and that all people are really all interconnected with their inner hearts. And I thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Chris. Sound came like an old radio. That's fine.
I'm getting older, Not that old.
You're not still young. Now, I like to invite you, Harrison.
So Thursday, Friday. Yeah, I see it. Okay. Let me, I want to get that on the calendar because everybody's going so nuts these days.
Are you hearing?
Cool. All right. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Okay. I can't hear you.
Okay, go ahead. No, turn it on.
Oh,
It's already on.
sorry.
Oh, don't do that. Come on.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
turn your microphone off.
It's on.
Sorry.
Don't have that
I
on.
think he's.
Don't turn your
You said,
microphone
you are said.
He's got me. Oh,
We can hear you.
happy Earth Day. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Happy Earth Day. I'm here with Chip and his mother, Blue Star, here in Sedona, and so grateful to be here. Happy Earth Day, and hello, Patricia and Davis. I so fondly know you and remember when we first met at the UN, however many years ago. And I'm so grateful to be here. I can't speak right now. I must get ready for my work that I need to do. But I send you so many blessings and love to you, Michelle, and everyone who's here. God bless you all. Thank you so much for being.
Thank you.
Love. Bye, Guruji.
Now I like to invite Ajay Abhiraman Davaduda from the Andamalga. Glory for you.
Namaskar, everyone. It is my great honor and pleasure be the part of the program. And first of all, happy International Earth Mother Day, you all. By grace of Lord, we are assembled here.
Okay, something happened. Either they have children in the ashram. It's a children's program going on, or
Yes. Okay.
yeah, we have said you can hear. Fine.
So I am very happy. I have been listening since program has started. And thank you so much, Dileepji. Dileepji is always very great, very compassionate and kind to assemble everyone and giving the opportunity to say something. So it is my great honor to part of the program, Tejas.
Okay, now I like to invite Michelle. Yes, Ajay.
Sorry, once again. 1 minute, just I'm concluding. So is this Earth planet, and our master has given the one beautiful poem that I just wanted to translate. O Lord, the earth and sky belongs to you. In fact, the whole world belongs to you, you only. I am your flower, you are my beloved Lord. The radiance poured forth by the morning sun, the fragrance spread by the flower in the garland, the entity turning into the heart in all that you strike, star-like effulgence glitters. You are present in the both pleasure and pain. You sit on the throne of the soul. All I can do for you is it said tears of love. So here is the in Urdu one line I'm just singing. Jamiya shima tumhara tumhara जहां सारा मैं बंदा हूँ तुम्हारा मैं बंदा हूँ तुम्हारा तुम्हारा जहां सारा जमिया सिमा तुम्हारा तुम्हारा जहां सारा सर्वे सुखिनः भवन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम शांति ओम शांति. Let everybody be happy, let everybody be free from all the physical and psychic elements, let everybody see the bright side of everything, let nobody be forced to undergo any trouble under pressure of circumstances. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Thank you so much for having me. Wish all the best. God bless you.
Thank you, Ajay joining and bringing mantras and the reading from the your scripture. Michelle, are you able to sing the Let There Be Peace on Earth?
If you would like me to sing that, I would be honored. Thank you.
We'll be ending with that one. Then Grandmother Patricia can do a closing remark. Then I'll finish that.
Okay. Let me make sure I have it here. One moment, please, while I find my.
Peace like Pete is here, or?
Pardon me?
Yes, Guruji, I'm here. I've been listening in the background.
At least within that time, he can say a few words.
Yes.
Pete, what do you want?
I just wanted to say I really enjoyed the speakers today, and happy Earth Day to all. This is a very important commemoration that is recognized around the world, and I'm just happy to be part of it and be amongst this group of people. And I'm very much looking forward to hearing Michelle again. Have a great day, everybody.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family, all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace and harmony. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me, to take each moment and live each moment in peace and harmony. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Amen.
Hallelujah.
Thank you.
That song, it feels like really earth first.
Thank you.
Otherwise, I'll feel like we are missing something. Thank you, Michelle. And Grandmother Patricia, you want to say a message of prayer for the closing? Yeah.
In our sacred circle of love and light together, We acknowledge our eternal oneness. Bonjour, bonjour, Inna. And with gratitude, we travel on a prayerful path of goodwill within ourselves and around us. As a spiritual family, bonjour, Nahaskli, all is restored to what is good, beautiful, and true for families, for children, and for our sacred Mother Earth, that we may practice and live and serve as peacemakers in the world today for our future generations. Thank you to each and every one of you. So much appreciation, Guruji. You are truly a teacher and a leader on the global stage of humanity and living and practicing humaneness. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandmother, for the closing remarks. I like to thank all of you, especially our Honorable Assemblyman Nader Sage, Dr. Kusmita Patricia, Grandmother Patricia, Monica Willard, Queen Mother Deloise Blakely, Reverend Dr. Frank Kaufman, Hiro Sakurai, Daniel Perel, Martha Gallagher, Julia Welsh, Chip Cummins, Reverend Doyen Park, Ravi Vaidinath, Dr. T.K. Nagakaki, and our angel Mishal, and all the religious leaders who spoke in the open mic, and all the board members of the Well Yoga community, and all the supporters from different organizations to be part of this event. And special thanks to all the organization from the UN, that's the Committee of Religious NGOs, URI, Baha'i, Brahmakumaris, Soka Gakkai International, One Buddhism, Hindu Temple of North America, and T.K. Nagagaki's organization, Peace and Reconciliation of New York, HEVA, Peace and Reconciliation of New York, and Peace Lights. And those who are watching, over 600 people are now. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. There's no word more than that. Without your support, we cannot do anything. Next event will be a month-long event that is in June 1st to June 30th, every day at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. That's on Zoom. Those who register for this event, they all get an email from me. And we'll have a physical event with partnering with the Indian Consulate in New York. And we are trying to get an event at the governor's office. I don't know when it will happen because that will take a long process. So let us see what will happen. So thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, Dileepji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Excellent program.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Guruji. Beautiful program.